every day makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Oh, you know we need them. Yeah, we do. We need those strategies. Those strategies for living.
Boy, do we need them.
Some days, some weeks, some months, some years more than others, right?
Amen.
Hey, folks, welcome into Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan. She is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan. And, of course, we are in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's right.
So we're going to try to highlight some mental health issues
and topics
and strategies this month on Strategies for Living. How many of us, we know this? We know anxiety is contagious.
Yes, we do.
But we don't think about it. And when you hear, well, anxiety is contagious, you think, whoa, wait, the flu is contagious, and the common cold is contagious. But anxiety, yeah, it is literally contagious.
Yeah. I mean, this goes beyond. I mean, I know we talk about energy a lot, and this is significantly energy, but it goes beyond that too. I mean, it's foundational science on a neuroscience level as well. We see this.
Yeah, and just think about this. In fact, if you want to prove this to yourself, think about your life. Those of us old enough to think of our lives before social media and after social media.
Okay, yeah.
And you'll see, hey, anxiety is contagious. But, you don't have to check it out there. I mean, you go to the checkout line of the grocery store.
Right.
And you can see it there.
Well, and you don't have to remember a time before social media either. You just have to ask yourself the question, have you ever felt more anxious after scrolling through social media?
There you go.
That's
good question.
Yeah.
And but here's the good news, and we're going to talk about this today, as well as some other thought-stretching, thought-provoking things. But if anxiety is contagious, and it is, we'll talk about that. So is peace. Peace is contagious, too. We're going to talk about all of that today.
Yes, it is.
Here on Strategies for Living. Folks, thank you for tuning in, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, alligator, Italian sausage, and some pretty good muffies, too. Anxiety, contagious? Yep, we're talking about it today here on Strategies.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem trapped. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
And welcome into Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about anxiety contagion today.
Yikes.
As if we don't have enough to be worried about. Yeah,
You can catch anxiety. It's in the air.
you really can't. There was a recent article from Psychology Today about anxiety contagion.
Yes.
Anxiety spreads, of course, emotionally and neurologically.
Yep.
And it
That's right.
spreads through social groups. It's kind of, think about it like secondhand smoke.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah. But all you have to do, I mean, is have to know a little basic animal behavior. You know, if you've ever watched any of those documentaries, animal, or even just seen clips of like a group of gazelles, right?
Yeah.
In a group.
Yeah.
And one catches sight of a lion, and what happens to the entire group?
Oh, they go nuts. They all go
All of
crazy.
them.
Yeah.
No-
And you see this with birds, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
See it
And they
yeah.
don't all have to see
No.
the threat. What happens is one sees and freaks out, and the other follows suit
All right, but right
because
now,
it's for their protection.
all right, but right now, people are probably saying, "Okay, Lauren and David, yeah, but those are birds. Those
Sure.
are gazelles."
We
okay.
haven't evolved that much more, but we have.
So let's ask a question: have you ever felt more stressed after scrolling through your phone than before you scroll through your phone? Have you ever caught a coworker or a friend's anxiety without realizing it?
Right.
And I think most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, yeah, okay, I'm paying attention. Now I'm paying attention. So let's talk about anxiety contagion. Exactly what is it? So, Lauren, the article talks about things like mirror neurons and emotional attunement and empathy,
Yes.
making humans more susceptible to catching other people's anxiety. So quickly,
Yeah.
what are mirror neurons?
So mirror neurons are specialized neurons, as it sounds. Neurons, of course, are being cells of the nervous system.
Right.
Right.
Important to the brain and the nervous system.
Right. And they actually are helpful in exactly what they say. They're mirror neurons. So they help us to attune to what's going on outside of us and helping us mirror that on the inside and understand that.
Right.
So in this case, what happens with anxiety is we may pick up on somebody else's anxious behavior. So say you're in a room with someone who's fidgeting and their feet, they're moving their leg up and down and they can't seem to sit still.
Right.
Well, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you are going to be aware of it on a subconscious level, and your mirror neurons are picking up on that behavior and signaling to you, okay, this person is anxious.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the way that works in that way.
Yeah. And we've all had the experience, again, if we're honest with ourselves, of walking into a room of people the room is filled with people who have just been maybe told something that makes everybody on edge.
Right.
And you feel that, even though you don't know what's gone on yet. The old saying, you could cut through that tension with a knife, right? Speaks to how we feel and speaks to this thing that you're calling mirror neurons. What is so emotional attunement?
Yeah.
That's just frequency tuning in.
Right. That's just our ability to tune in literally to others' emotions, to our own emotions and others' emotions.
Yeah.
It's a form of empathy, being able to understand from their behavior, their tone of voice, what they're feeling.
All right. So we don't have to go back too far to really give ourselves a very, very poignant example of this. We all remember around March of 2020, right?
Oh, yeah.
We
Toilet
all
paper,
remember
right?
the trips to the grocery store and literally, on the toilet paper aisle, if you could find it, if you could find some, it was probably not the brand or the quality that you were accustomed to, and
if you found it,
your purchases were limited. What was all of that? I mean, there wasn't really a shortage of toilet paper.
We're not far from the gazelles there.
And you know, we all need to really think about that because there was no shortage.
Nope.
Everything would have been fine, right?
Yep.
But somehow, some way, some gazelle said, "Oh my gosh, COVID, we need toilet paper."
Right.
Right.
Because that connects.
And I mean, it was a real thing.
Yeah, sure.
The toilet paper shortage was a real thing, and it spanned. I mean, how much time did it take for us to, you know, for the store shelves to get restocked, where they pulled down your purchase is limited, you know, to one package,
right,
or 2 packages, whatever the limit of your store was. But there you go. There's a prime example of it. Now, you know, the thing that we have to remember is that this underscores the realness of what we're talking about. It also underscores and we'll talk about this as we unfold this a bit more. There's also some remedy.
Absolutely.
In there.
Just being aware of, and, you know, being able, okay, so we're talking about gazelles. That's the animal mind, right? We have the first initially developed part of our brain, the hindbrain, which is which we share with animals.
Right.
But we as humans have developed this huge prefrontal and neocortex, right? Which allows us to have this awareness.
Right.
And I'm afraid we're not using it as much as we could. And
probably not.
It's in moments like these where we need to stop and think, okay, what's the rationale here? And is there a true reason, you know, to run to the grocery store and buy toilet paper or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's about discernment, being able to step back, watch what's happening, and make a decision from there. And that's where true inner peace can then insert itself.
When you go to the workplace, I mean, I think probably all of us have at some point, if we've been in the workforce long enough, if we've worked for a number of bosses through the years, we've probably all had the experience of working for an anxious boss. And you can see that impacting the entire office.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
You can see the
culture.
effects on the whole culture, the whole office.
Whole system.
You know? And it puts people on edge. Also, you know, you can see this in families.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and we're talking about systems here. I mean, so the workplace is a system. The entire world is a system, if you will.
Yeah, we're systems of systems, right?
But families are a basic system. And with family dynamics, you know, if the parents are anxious, that trickles down to the kids.
Big time.
I grew up. I realize now that my father had a little bit of OCD.
Yeah, a little bit.
And every night, and we didn't live in a big house. I thought it was pretty big, but you know, I look at it now. You know, geez, we were in that little house, you know, with one bathroom before my parents built another bath and bedroom on the back.
Right.
Wow. But anyway, my father every night would do what he called checking. And so he'd go around with a flashlight. This was after the bath or shower and before bed. So he'd go around in his PJs with his flashlight.
Right.
And he'd check in every closet. He'd check every door. He'd check under every bed, you know, and he called it checking.
Right. I just got to do my checking.
I got to do my checking. And I, you know, as a little fellow, I'd get my little flashlight and I'd go behind him, right?
Sure,
Yeah, I mean,
you looked up to Dad.
That was normal.
That's what you did.
Yeah. And it literally wasn't until I was in my 30s and taking an abnormal psychology course and realized, well, I'll be doggone.
Yeah, that ain't right.
I just thought that was just normal.
Sure.
Now, I mean, I love my father, and my father was a great guy, and you know, and to this day, I mean, I think you you've made some comments about this every evening. I mean, I don't look under beds and in closets, but I do.
You do a little check.
I do. I go check and make sure the back door and the front door are locked. And the lights are turned off downstairs. And so, hey, I mean, so a little of this, in balance, this all can be a good thing.
And then what happened in your case there is you became aware, you were able to decide for yourself then how much of the behavior you wanted to continue and how much was appropriate for you in your life.
Okay. And so awareness, Lauren, that is the first step, if you will. If we can recognize, rethink. If we can recognize anxiety contagion, then we have power over it, instead of it having power over us.
The other part there is being able to tease out whose anxiety is whose.
Yeah. Who does this belong to?
How much of this is mine?
Yeah. I grant you that a lot of people went to buy toilet paper and they had no idea why they were going to buy toilet paper during the, they just did because everybody else is doing it, right? Well, why are we doing this? I don't know. Everybody else is doing it. Well,
let's think about that.
Let's think about what problems that may have caused, because there's an example of us collectively creating a problem that just wasn't there. There was no toilet paper shortage until ... Talking about anxiety contagion today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning RX Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, Learning RX Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call Learning RX Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does Learning RX Shreveport.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you want a hard get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
And we're back. We're back with those strategies. Right here on Strategies for Living Radio with Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, and we're talking about anxiety contagion today.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Anxiety is contagious? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely
no
it
doubt
is.
About it.
And so how much are we disrupting our lives? And we don't really realize that we're doing this.
We're talking about anxiety as a contagious, like a bacteria or a virus or some airborne disease. And if we're talking about it that way, I kind of makes you wonder, well, how can we build up then our immune system? Right? And I might pose the idea that perhaps it's our awareness. Our awareness is our immunity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That could be psychological immunity. Set that aside. We're going to get to that.
Okay. All right. Where are you taking us next?
But before we get to it, I think we need to continue to raise our consciousness, our awareness. We've talked about social media. Anxiety these days spreads faster than ever before.
Yeah.
I mean, think of just the news cycles now.
It's constant, 24/7. I mean, you can get your fill any moment of any day.
Any moment of any day, you can find out what's happening.
You don't have to have a TV. No, you can just find out on social media. That anxious Instagram story, right?
Just your device is all you need, whatever that is. And we do this thing called doom scrolling, right? Where there are some feeds, and you can tell the feeds that are just they amp up.
Right.
This is their whole purpose in life.
Well, they feed off of it because what happens is we engage with fearful and anxiety provoking content more simply because it's stimulating. That doesn't mean that it's stimulating in a good, healthy way. Right. But it gets engagement.
It revs us up. Yeah. It gets us going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also, I think, if we're realistic, I think we have to also look at the other amplifiers of anxiety today.
Okay.
That add to the
we're talking
contagion.
About collectively.
Yeah, we're talking collectively, but it's all personal. It all comes down to the individual.
Right, and
it all comes down to what goes on in my body.
Yeah,
right?
How we respond to it.
Right. So amplifiers that we need to really take a look at and just be aware of. Again, if the awareness, as you say, is if that's our immunity, if that's our psychological immunity, then I think we also, Lauren, have to be aware of the amplifiers.
Yes.
Well, economic uncertainty. And I mean, this is not new.
No.
This has been around, my whole lifetime.
Well, since the economy's existed.
Yeah.
It's been uncertain.
And,
right?
And yes, it's revved up with the news cycles, and the availability of information through our social devices.
Can we talk about that one for just a minute?
Sure.
Because, I don't remember who I heard say this, but it kind of struck me, that it was the idea that we didn't evolve as a species originally to really know what's going on the other side of the world. Like we evolved as a small, close-knit community social species, right? So I'm supposed to know what's going on within my community,
within my tribe.
My tribe.
I know what's going on the other side of the tribe, or on the other side
because it's going,
of the neighborhood.
Because it likely will and can directly impact my livelihood and my well-being.
Right.
Now with this 24/7 news cycle, but also the connectivity, right? The world is becoming smaller in that regard, and that I can call up Italy, my friend in Italy, right, and be talking to them in an instant. Right.
Yeah,
and so at the same time, we're also aware of the famine and the wars and the terrors that are going on 3,000, 4,000 miles away.
You're making a great point. I remember, when there's a almost 13-year difference between the ages of my sister and myself.
Right.
So, she was off to college when I was 5 or 6, right?
Right.
And after her first year of college, she was involved in theater, and she was at Centenary, and they traveled a bunch, and they traveled overseas.
Yeah.
And I remember the big deal that it was. I mean, the big deal that it was to make and receive long distance phone France, are from Italy, are from South Africa. They went to a lot of different, I mean, it was fabulous. They went to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But I'm remembering that now you don't have any of that rigmarole anymore.
No,
You
as long as you have Wi-Fi, pretty stable Wi-Fi connection, you can tune in.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's how much things have amped up and changed.
Not only that, but because of that 24/7, we're reachable, we're contactable, and we feel like we need to be on the ready and responsive, immediately responsive. And that's vastly changed over the years. I mean, even in your lifetime, you grew up without cell phones, and so you might have been bike riding on the other side of the neighborhood and your mom couldn't reach you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just wasn't. But now we've got these tracking devices, we've got cell phones. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to be available all the time.
Absolutely.
And we're not, because of that pressure, I feel like we're less present with each other.
Another amplifier that we got to talk about are our politics, our polarized politics that have developed
Right.
in my lifetime. I saw the beginnings of this in the 60s, a little increase in the 70s, but man, come the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, this kicked into high gear. I mean, the thing is, we think, oh, well, you're talking about something that's going on today. No, I'm talking about something that's really been developing over the last 50 years.
It didn't happen overnight. For sure.
No. And there are different players that we talk about,
Right.
that come on and off the scene, but it's the same polarization.
But it's grown and it's showing its face more, and I think more and more of us are more aware of it because of, as we said, because of the connectivity, because of the access that we have now to each other and to the events. I mean, you didn't know what was going on in the White House 50 years ago. No. Right? No. And now we can tune in every day.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And then, we've always had our weather reports, but now it's at a different level as we talk about climate change fears, and it's at it's been taken to a totally different level. So again, we're talking of, these are amplifiers, the economic uncertainty, the political polarization, the climate change fear, all of those are amplifiers to the anxiety contagion that we're talking about.
Yeah, and so I don't know, as I think we talked,
that plus the hyperactive, the connectivity that you've been talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, as we say, the world is loud, right? Even though the world may be loud, peace is still available. Yeah. Inside.
Okay, so and we talk about this. I'm happy to say that that's one of the things that I think we do fairly well, as I pat myself and you on the back, because I mean that's the heart of why we do what we do, right? Yeah, is because there is a need to disconnect in order to reconnect. And so
I'm glad you added the reconnect.
I would never tell anybody, hey, just disconnect totally.
Well, but
sometimes you need to. No, exactly. But unless you're going to go, live off grid,
which is great.
You can, but very few people actually do that.
Yeah,
we might talk about it. A lot of people may talk about it a lot,
and if that gives them, great fantasy nowadays.
Yeah, and if that gives you some peace, that's great. But most of us aren't going to do that. But what we can do is we can disconnect to reconnect. We disconnect in order to reconnect with ourselves, with our spirit, our soul, our relationships. Right. And, this doesn't have to be go on a 3-day silent retreat.
No, these can be inserted into the day, just 10 minutes a day type strategies, right?
You might be shocked if you gave yourself that 10, 20 minutes a day. Where you closed, you shut down your phone. Yep. You weren't available. And you either did some type of meditation, or you did journaling. Right. Or you did read, some reading that is,
anything that helps
you reconnect,
to connect with your spirit and your idea of the greater spirit, the higher power that is yours. Because the more that we connect with spirit, the less power the outer noise has over us, because we know then with that deepened relationship how truly rooted we are in our own inner safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The teacher was correct. It's within you.
It is.
And it's all inside of you. Mm-hmm. It's all there.
Right.
It's not up there, out there, over there. Mm-hmm. It's there. So to understand, and what we're trying to get at today with looking at this anxiety contagion is, if we understand the system, it's going to reduce our sense of guilt. It's not our fault.
No.
It's not our fault that we're anxious. But
the system's overstimulating.
Yeah.
Right? But the good news is you can step out of it.
It's not our fault that we're feeling this level of anxiety, but
it is our responsibility.
Amen.
Our ability to respond to it.
It's our responsibility if we're experiencing anxiety from whatever.
Right.
It's our responsibility to
manage it.
Yeah. It's either going to manage you or you're going to manage it. Mm-hmm. Anxiety contagion. We're talking about it today here on Strategies. One more thing to worry about. We'll be back.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family, passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail, alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. With Andres, bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather alligator Italian sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather alligator Italian sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's. Thebalancedlife.us.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Oh, yeah. We got them. We got those strategies right here on Strategies for Living. That's what we're all about. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. We've reached the portion of the program that is really one of our favorites because it's the strategy part, and you might say, okay, well, what in the heck? You've been talking about anxiety contagion today.
Do we have you anxious about anxiety yet?
You're talking about the collective here. You're talking about us all running and buying toilet paper and buying the shelves out of toilet paper.
Yes.
That's the most recent example, one of the most recent examples of this.
Yeah.
There was no, the people didn't stop manufacturing toilet paper.
No.
The toilet paper trucks didn't all go on strike.
Mm-hmm.
We did this. We did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
There was no shortage until, everybody went and started hoarding, and there's probably people that are still to this day not having to buy toilet paper because of all they bought, back in the day, right?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. All right. So the good news, though, is the great news is there are strategies for immunity
right
to anxiety contagion. This anxiety contagion that we're talking about today.
Begins with awareness first and foremost.
That's the biggie. But then there's some strategies. There's some tools that you can use. And they work to build up your sense of immunity.
Yes.
And one is as close as your breath, isn't it?
Yeah. Any sort of grounding, what I call a grounding ritual or a grounding technique, right? And our breath is the easiest and most underestimated tool that we have at our disposal.
Yeah.
As a therapist, this is one of my go-to things because I know the power. I mean, all of the studies, all of the spiritual practices often include some type of breath work.
Yeah.
And it's called breath work because it's work with your breath and it is powerful.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't tell you how many people scoff, or say, well, how is breathing going to help me?
Yeah, that's too simple. They, think to themselves, that's too simple.
Right. And yet,
it's powerful.
It's incredibly powerful.
And when people stop and really give themselves the opportunity and truly try it,
right,
then they become believers.
Listen,
they become believers.
I dare you, right, in the moment of anxiety or when you can't sleep, take 30 deep breaths.
Yeah, and see what happens. Yeah. Another thing is let's not undersell prayer.
Yeah.
The power of prayer or the power of meditation.
Yeah, beginning the morning or ending the evening or at any moment in the day. Just take a moment of intention, however that looks to you, whether that's an actual prayer or some sort of religious prayer.
Yeah, prayer doesn't, a lot of times prayer is religious, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Prayer is a dialogue. And this is a capital A-N-D. It's a dialogue and a listening.
Well, a dialogue includes listening.
Good point.
It's not just speaking. I think sometimes and that's why I like the combination of prayer and meditation, because I think we often associate prayer with the talking, right? Yeah. And so fine, do the talking, but then you must include the meditation part, which is the listening.
In fact, you may want to double that up.
I would. I mean,
you got one mouth and two ears, so you probably need to listen twice as much as you talk. Right.
Absolutely.
Some digital boundary setting is another strategy that I think is important. Setting curfews. On yourself in terms of scrolling or your consumption of the news.
Yes.
Not to say, hey, don't keep up, but you don't have to do it 24/7.
No, you can designate a time, just like sometimes if you have a tendency to worry, it can be helpful to set aside a time to worry. Yeah. Give yourself 20 minutes of the day to worry and don't worry any other time. You can do the same with news.
Another, piece of good news here is this doesn't just work one way. So anxiety contagion, yes, it's a real thing. But you know what the other real thing is? A peace contagion. We have a young person that we work with, and we set up a field trip and took him a few months ago into the downtown area. And our friend, we had our friend
Robert
Trudeau take him on a tour of downtown places. And one of the places that we included was Holy Trinity Catholic Church.
Yes.
This young man had never set foot inside of a Catholic church. And, we weren't in there long, but we wanted to show him the architecture and the historical significance. And he said, and he still talks about it, even though it was months and months ago. He talks about how peaceful and calm that space was. He didn't want to leave it.
Right.
Because he said he had never felt that level of peace and calmness.
Yeah, and that speaks to the energetic level of the building and the space. But we as people also hold that ability. Right. And that's the important piece, especially. So
there's co-regulation.
Right.
So do you have someone that is just calming to you? Do you have a place? And it doesn't have to be, it could be a church, but it could be a meadow. It could be a park. It could be a tree. It could be any place that brings calm to you, because that's contagious too.
Yes, it is big time. And in fact, it's found that it's more contagious than the fear, because we're more likely to attune and to align with we see this in Dr. Emoto's work with water. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So he was concerned about how when we talk kindly to things, the water becomes structured, and when we talk unkindly, it becomes unstructured.
And the photographs are amazing.
Right. Yeah. And one quick experiment that he did was he was concerned that if you ran unstructured water with structured water, that it would become unstructured. But what he found was actually the opposite, that the structured water actually helped lead the unstructured water to find structure, which speaks to the power of peace and co-regulation.
There you go. The other thing is to name it. Just naming your emotions, labeling anxiety as anxiety can reduce the power that it has over some, just identify it.
Right. And is this mine?
Or does this belong to somebody else?
Right.
Or somebody else's.
Right.
In this case. Yeah. Talking about anxiety contagion today here on Strategies for Living. Lots to think about. We'll be back. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategy.
And here we are, Strategies for Living. Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. Talking about anxiety contagion today. Well, yeah, anxiety is contagious, but peace is too.
So is peace.
That's the great news.
Yep.
And our world, Lauren, does, in fact, fuel anxiety.
Sure, no doubt about it.
But we've got tools. We've got
yeah.
strategies. We've got tools that can keep us grounded. And sometimes the smallest little things, the smallest little strategies, practiced over and over and over, can make a true difference in our life. So, what are you leaving us with as we close this out today?
So we live in a world that runs on urgency, but our soul is wired for peace.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait for the world to calm down. You get to be the calm. So kind of my call to action is, how are you going to be the calm? What daily practices can you put in place so you can be the safe place? You can be that calm space for your family, your coworkers, and the community.
Great questions for all of us to contemplate and consider, in this crazy, anxiety-ridden, contagion world.
Be the calm.
Be the calm. Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center. And Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, alligator, Italian sausage, and some pretty good muffies, too. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. See you next time on Strategies for Living.